Hello! Today we will be talking about how scammer girl from Ukraine will most probably scam you if she moved out from Ukraine, or at least if she claims that she moved out from Ukraine. As I have previously mentioned in my previous videos, about 70% of scammer girls have moved out from Ukraine when war started. They moved to European countries. About 35 to 40% moved to Poland. About 20 to 25% moved to Germany, about 10% moved to Romania, maybe 5% moved to Bulgaria, but some more experienced scammers, let's say more professional scammers, moved to other exotic destinations such as France, Spain, UK, and Scandinavian countries. I know of several scammers who moved to Monaco actually, and you can Google for rent in Monaco. It's pretty high. Some of those scammers that moved to Poland from the very beginning then moved to other countries such as Spain, maybe Germany, France, and so on and so on. That's because Poland has stopped paying allowance as of 1st of June to Ukrainian refugees. Remember, those scammers do not want or feel like working. And why should they? There are so many foreigners, so many foreign men that believe, trust, and agree to help those poor souls. Before we move on, please make sure that you like this video and that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. A little note: scammer may be claiming that she lives in some European country. And in fact, she may live happily in Kiev, in Lviv, in Odessa, in Poltava, or in any other Ukrainian city. And in such way, she may be telling you the same stories as I am going to tell you right now. Scammer might have returned back to Ukraine in the beginning of summer, and many actually have returned to Ukraine. About 40% of those girls, maybe 35, one-third of those girls that moved to European countries from the beginning of war have already returned back to Ukraine. But they may still be claiming that they live somewhere abroad and they need money. First scam technique will be about gigantic apartment rental prices. Scammer girl will be telling you how expensive it is to rent an apartment somewhere in Poland, in Germany, in Romania, or wherever she lives. Of course, if you rent a, let's say, 3 or 4 rooms apartment in, let's say, Berlin, in Warsaw, Krakow, even in Bucharest, the prices will be high for such apartment. But even if we are talking about rental in a capital city, you should know that there are many studios that are located somewhere in the suburbs of those capital cities like Warsaw, Berlin, Bucharest, and even Paris. You can rent a studio somewhere in the suburbs for about, let's say, $300 to $500 maximum. And in smaller cities, as you know, you can find even rental deals much cheaper, maybe even for $250 or maybe $300. I have a friend whose wife moved to Poland with their 2 kids, and they rent a 1-room apartment in a small city. I don't even remember what's the name of that city, 90 kilometers from Warsaw. And for 1-room apartment, they pay $300 per month. And it's a pretty good apartment. Also worth saying that for Ukrainian refugees, there are many apartment deals in countries like Poland, Germany, Romania that are offered even for free. My friend's wife lived in that city next to Warsaw, about 90 or 100 kilometers away from Warsaw. She lived there for 3 months absolutely free, and then they moved to a better apartment, but they have to pay like $320 per month. But it is possible to live even for free in such countries as Poland, Romania, or Bulgaria, even now during summer. If this beauty queen that you are corresponding to wants to live very good, let's say in a 3-room apartment somewhere in the center of Amsterdam, or in the center of Paris, or maybe in the center of London, you should know that it is very expensive. But why should you pay for that? Once again, there are offers to Ukrainian refugees even now during summer in many cities around Europe where they can be offered accommodation absolutely for free. So if girl asks you for money for accommodation and says that it's something like 1,000 or 2,000 euros per month, you should know it is scam, or she wants to live very good. but why should you pay for that? Second scam technique will be concerning food, prices for food. I have recently consulted one client, and he told me that he corresponded with a girl who claimed that she lived somewhere in the suburbs of Warsaw. She asked money for the apartment also. She said that apartment price was very, very high, but she said that she lived next to some very small supermarket where prices for everything were much higher than everywhere. But because she could not figure out how to move around the city, she could not go to a bigger, cheaper supermarket, and that she had to buy everything from that small expensive supermarket that was located right at the gas station. And funny thing, even though she doesn't eat a lot as she told him, she still needed a lot of money because a lot of money were going for that supermarket spending. Very, very funny. If the girl you're corresponding with has a kid, she may be telling you that her kid is hungry all the time, that her kid cries and asks for food that she cannot just buy, and she needs money for everything, for food, for clothes, maybe even for such things as shampoo or soap. I recently had another consultation with one of my clients, and he told me that his girlfriend was claiming that she lived somewhere in a refugee camp not far away from Madrid in Spain. She said that they were not allowed to go out from this camp, and there was only one shop where she could buy food in that camp. She claimed that prices there were very, very high, and he sent her more than $2,000 over the last 3 months. He told her several times that he could come from United States to Spain and they could rent an apartment somewhere in Madrid, and he even found several options where he could rent an apartment, sent her photos of the neighborhood, but she refused. She said that she had no idea where that camp was located. And she was corresponding with him by Viber. But when he asked to send him location where she was staying in that camp, she told him that that function, location function, just did not work in her phone. Pretty funny, huh? Well, I proposed him to check where her mobile phone was registered, and guess what? It was registered somewhere in Ukraine. She was not in roaming. And you should know something about refugee camps for Ukrainians. In refugee camp, food is provided 3 times per day. Maybe it is not very good food, maybe it is not like salmon or lobsters or red or black caviar, but it is more than enough to eat and not to stay hungry. Like snacks, coffee, and even some juices are available all the time, and there are 3 meals, like breakfast, lunch and dinner, in almost all refugee camps. Those of you who live in Europe and who have visited Ukraine should know that prices for food in Europe are not very, very high comparing to Ukrainian. Some food like groceries may cost more, and quality of groceries is much worse actually in Europe than it is in Ukraine. But prices for everything is more or less like in Ukraine, maybe like 20% higher, but I don't think girls need so much money living in Europe as they ask for. Even if girl claims that she lives in an apartment that she has to rent, okay, for rent it is about $300, and I think for food $300 should be more than enough. Okay, if she is with a kid, maybe $500 for food should be enough. But almost all countries now give some allowance. For example, in Germany it is 460 euros per month. In Belgium it is about 700 euros per month. In Norway I think it's about $800 per month. And additionally they ask foreign men for more and more and more. So that's a scam. And as you can see, there is always a way for these young, beautiful Ukrainian scammers to live in Europe, even without your help. Just desire is needed. And desire for maybe working at least a couple of hours per day, but they don't have such desire. It is much easier to scam you. Third scam technique will be about clothes, shoes, towels, blankets, and so on and so on. Maybe even shampoo and soap. Scammer may be telling you that she left Ukraine in winter clothes without anything. She just took one bag and she had her winter clothes on, and now she needs summer clothes because she cannot go out in winter clothes. Some say there are no blankets, towels, pillows, even mattresses where they live, and they have to buy it all for their own money. I know about this scam technique also from John, my client, who sent more than $2,000 to the girl who claimed she lived in a refugee camp next to Madrid. She told him that she needed everything: blankets, pillows, mattresses, towels, even soap and shampoo. That there was absolutely nothing in that refugee camp. That's a scam, as refugees from Ukraine who live in those refugee camps, or even who live in apartments and who are registered with the mayor's office there, are provided with material help, provided with those necessary stuff that is needed for everyday living. For example, my friend moved to Germany, I think in March or in April, when all this war started. He has 4 kids, so he can move out from Ukraine without any problems. Those men who have 3 kids or more are free to move to anywhere in the world without any problems. So they can cross the border without any problems. And he left to Germany because his cousin lived somewhere in Germany. And they were provided with an apartment, a 3-room apartment, because he has 4 kids. And there was absolutely nothing in that apartment. Mayor's office provided him with 2,000 euros for all those furniture that he needed. He bought everything in IKEA for about 1,200 euros, and 800 euros were even left. And government provide to them apartment, so they pay for rental of that apartment 1,400 euros per month. And in addition to apartment rental, German government pays him allowance 460 euros per month, pays allowance to his wife, I think it is 420 or 410 euros, plus 350 euros for each kid. So he has more than 2,000 euros of allowance per month. Yes, he has to learn German, he must learn German, he and his wife. But that's it. German government really helps those people. German government do not help Ukraine with weapons, but they really help our Ukrainian refugees. Of course, such allowance is not enough to buy maybe clothes such as Dolce & Gabbana or Versace or Prada or some other pretty expensive brand, but it is enough for buying necessary clothes, necessary blankets, soap, shampoo, and food. So if girl tells you that she has no money for clothes and nobody helps her in Europe, you should know it's a scam. 4th scam technique concerns medical help, assistance and services. It may be anything from sudden pain in stomach to dental pain, continuous headaches, and so on and so on. And because she has no European insurance, she cannot get any medical assistance and she needs money for that. And because she is in pain, like dental pain, she needs money very, very urgently. You should know that it's a scam because all refugees that are registered in Europe as refugees automatically have medical insurance and they do not pay anything for medical help. Yes, she should go to a mayor's office or maybe to ask somewhere in the refugee center how to get that help. But all Ukrainian refugees have medical insurance automatically and they don't pay anything for that insurance. And I know that even medicine is covered by that insurance, so there is no money to be paid even for medicine if Ukrainian girl in Europe needs it. Of course, if that scammer girl needs some beauty procedures, maybe install breast implants, that will not be covered by automatic refugee insurance. But why should you pay for that? Well, if you know for sure that you are going to test those breast implants, you can send money for that. But in all other cases, no way. Don't spend your money. Don't waste your money. It's complete scam. 5th scam technique is when some emergency happens and scammer needs money very, very urgently. I heard about this scam from another client who is on advisor package and whom I consult frequently. One of his girlfriends moved from Kharkiv to France, at least as she was claiming. We didn't check that because there was no need in that. But she told him that she visited an expensive wine shop and accidentally broke 2 very expensive bottles of wine. She told him that she needed like 1,000 euros very quickly, like in 3 days, otherwise she would go to prison. My client was very worried about that girl, and he called me in the middle of the night. I switched off the telephone in the night, so when I called him back in the morning, he told me that story, and I had to calm him down, because maybe you didn't know about that, but all such shops, all such expensive wine shops, whiskey shops, they all have insurance. And if such thing happens, they are insured, and if some client breaks a bottle, they have cameras everywhere, and insurance company pays for that. That's an accident, and for accident nobody goes to prison. It is not a criminal case breaking a bottle accidentally. But you should be aware of such scam techniques also. Another scam technique that I am aware of is when scammer girls use their kids to scam foreigners. They may be telling you that her kid needs food, clothes, shoes, toys, maybe some special dairy products, and that money is needed for that. She may be telling you that in Europe everything costs much more than in Ukraine, and she needs money for that. She may be begging you for money to buy something for her kid. Hopefully not many young Ukrainian women who have kids use their kids for scam, but you should know of such probability because you may come up maybe one day with such scam technique. If that young mother is registered in European Refugee Center, and she must be registered in European Refugee Center because she would not be able to stay in Europe for more than 90 days otherwise, if her kid needs something, I am sure that she can go to mayor's office and ask for help, and help will be provided to them. So if Ukrainian girls uses her kid to ask you for material help, you should know it's 99.9% scam. Of course, there may be other scam techniques from girls who claim they moved to Europe and live in Europe now, that they live in Europe as a refugee. And if you know of any other scam techniques, please feel free to write them in comments to this video. Will be very interesting to find out them. Those of you who need my individual help or assistance can write me at my email address, and I am always glad to help those people who really need help. Don't forget to like this video if you found this information useful, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Please let me know in comments subject of which videos I should record for you in the future. What would be interesting for you to know about Ukrainian scammers, or maybe life in Ukraine? I need some ideas from you. As usual, I wish you all good luck, success, joy, tranquility, peace as much as possible in your family, in your city, in your country, and of course, stay healthy and wealthy.